Welcome to Unearthly. For centuries, countless people have sought the kingdom of Shambhala, some for power, some for adventure, and a handful for spiritual insights. Of these, the most famous quest for Shambhala was by the acclaimed Russian artist Nicholas Roerich, a student of Helena Blavatsky's Theosophy. In 1925, Roerich embarked on an expedition to Shambhala and traveled from India through Tibet, Mongolia, and the Altai Mountains. While the expedition's official purpose was to collect plant specimens and study the local culture, the real reason was to find Shambhala. He later published a book on these travels called Altai Himalaya, a travel diary. During this long expedition, Roerich spent time with lamas from Tibet and Mongolia. He describes a strange encounter that took place on August 5, 1928, where they spotted a massive blackbird flying right over their camp. They all began watching this unusually large bird. He writes, "At the same moment, another of our caravan men said, 'There's something far above the bird,' and he shouted in his astonishment. We all saw, in a direction from north to south, something big and shiny reflecting the sun, like a huge oval moving at great speed. Crossing our camp, the thing changed its direction from south to southwest, and we saw how it disappeared in the intense blue sky. We even had time to take out our field glasses and saw quite distinctly an oval form with shiny surface, one side of which was brilliant from the sun." So he was actually describing a UFO more than 2 decades before the first modern UFO sighting reported by Kenneth Arnold in 1947. Later, Roerich tells the Lama about this incident. "The eyes of the Lama sparkled," Roerich writes, "and the Lama said, 'Ah, you are guarded by Shambhala. The huge black vulture is your enemy who is eager to destroy your work, but the protecting force from Shambhala follows you in this radiant form of matter. This force is always near to you, but you cannot always perceive it. Sometimes only it is manifested for strengthening and directing you. Did you notice the direction in which the sphere moved? You must follow the same direction.'" So not only does the Lama acknowledge that the aerial craft is from Shambhala, he also says that you must follow its direction to travel towards Shambhala. He says you can't always perceive it, and this lines up with modern day encounters of UFOs that can seemingly disappear or cloak themselves. After this incident, no other flying crafts are mentioned in Roerich's books, but another puzzle presents itself soon afterwards. During a conversation with the same Lama, Roerich seems to be fully aware of a mysterious race of people called Hazaras and Kutumpas who somehow seem to be related to Shambhala. The Lama says to Roerich, "Many of our people during their lives have encountered the Hazaras and Kutumpas and the snow people who serve them. Only recently have the Hazaras ceased to be seen in cities. They are all gathered in the mountains. Very tall, with long hair and beards, they appear outwardly like Hindus. Once, while walking along the Brahmaputra, I saw an Hazara. I strove to reach him, but swiftly he turned beyond the rocks and disappeared. Yet I found no cave or cavern there. All I saw was a small stupa. Probably he did not care to be disturbed." The Kutumpas are no longer seen now. Previously, they appeared quite openly in the Sang district and at Manasarovar, where the pilgrims went to the holy Kailasha. Even the snow people are rarely seen now. The ordinary person, in his ignorance, mistakes them for apparitions. There are profound reasons why, just now, the great ones do not appear so openly. My old teacher told me much of the wisdom of the Hazaras. We know several places where the great ones dwelt, but for the moment these places are deserted. Some great reason, great mystery. No tribe or people by the names of Kutumpa or Zara seem to exist in Mongolia or Tibet today. But in Pakistan, Muslims of Central Asian origin are called Hazaras, and though the names sound similar, it is unsure whether he is referring to them. He says Kutumpas was seen in Manasarovar, which is an extremely remote area even today and must have been even more remote and arduous to get to when he wrote this book. Please watch this video about Mount Kailash to understand this better. Anyway, who are these Kutumpas and why does he call them the Great Ones? Are the Kutumpas and Hazaras connected to Shambhala, We have no way of knowing the answers. And what about the snow people who serve the Kutumpas and Nazaras? He says they too are rarely seen now. As mentioned in the previous video, Tibetans believe that Yetis guard the entrance to Patala. Maybe the snow people are the abominable snowmen or the Yetis, and maybe they serve the Kutumpas and Azaras by guarding these entrances. Tibetans insist that the Yeti is not just an ape, but a supernatural creature that can vanish at will. Some sources claim that Rorik ultimately reached Shambhala and that he returned to them a fragment of the fabled Chintamani stone on behalf of the League of Nations. Hitler too was fascinated by the occult and obsessed with finding Shambhala. The Thule Society was founded by Baron Sabotendorf, who, like Roerich, was a disciple of Blavatsky. Hitler was an active member of the Thule Society and was deeply interested in the origins of the Aryan race. Under the direction of the Thule Society, the most well-known Nazi expedition to Tibet took place from 1938 to 1939. Though purported to be a scientific expedition, the real motive was to find Shambhala. Scholars such as Pauwels and Bergier say that the Thule Society reached out to Shambhala with great difficulty, only to be promptly rejected by them. The Agarthans, though, stepped into their aid, even sending an adept to help them out. Why does Shambhala stay hidden from us? The Beloida myths of Russia say that this land will stay hidden till a specific time in the future. A previous video spoke about the enigmatic Alexander Sontes. He claimed to be in contact with some masters from Agartha, whom he called the Mahatmas. In 1886, he published a book on Agartha, but just hours before they hit the bookshelves, he set the entire set of books on fire. Why such a drastic step after going through the effort and expense of writing and publishing it? He said the Mahatmas ordered him to immediately destroy the books because it was not the right time for the world to know about Agartha. Luckily for us, though, he kept one book from which subsequent copies were published again, years after his death. Though most scholars have not accepted Sontes' excuse for destroying the books, there does seem to be a veil of secrecy when it comes to both Agartha and Shambhala. For instance, during Roerich's expedition to Shambhala, he meets a high Lama who cautions him against talking about Shambhala's ruler. We must not pronounce this mystery. There is much which may not be revealed. There is much which may not be crystallized into sound. In sound we reveal our thought. In sound we project our thought into space, and the greatest harm may follow. Because everything divulged before the destined date results in untold harm. Even the greatest catastrophes may be provoked by such light-minded acts. So it is clear that people took these warnings very seriously. And note what Roerich writes about caves in the Himalayas. In the foothills of the Himalayas are many caves, and it is said that from these caves, subterranean passages proceed far below Kanchenjunga. Some have even seen the stone door which has never been opened because the date has not arrived. The deep passages proceed to the splendid valley. Here again he writes that the date has not yet arrived, and the splendid valley he refers to is Shambhala, as some people say that it lies in a hidden valley. Another time, Roerich asks the Lama about the directions to Shambhala. Probably you also know some directions. Where are the sacred frontiers which you dare never to cross? The Lama replies, yes, only those who are called can enter these boundaries. There are some signs indicating these forbidden regions, but even without visible signs, you can feel it because everyone who approaches will feel a tremor in his whole body. A hunter was sufficiently strong to cross this boundary. He had seen there some miraculous and wonderful things, but he was senseless and he tried to speak about the hidden matters, and therefore he became dumb. With sacred matters, we must be very careful. Everything revealed before the destined date involves a great calamity. In Ferdinand Ossendowski's book, Beasts, Men and Gods, he writes about a hunter in Mongolia who accidentally stumbled upon the entrance to the kingdom of Agartha. When the hunter came back, he began telling every one of the wonders he'd seen there. The Lamas actually cut off his tongue to prevent him from revealing more about the kingdom. Ossendowski heard about this incident from a Lama many years after it happened. In the same book, Ferdinand Ossendowski is again told, "The king of the world will appear before all people when the time shall have arrived for him to lead all the good people of the world against the bad. But the time has not yet come. The most evil among mankind has not yet been born." So from these three entirely different sources, Ossendowski, Roerich and Sonthief's, the message is clear. Over and over we hear the same refrain that information about Shambhala should be kept secret until a specific date or significant event occurs, neither of which are known to us, though it is likely that a select few humans may be aware of these dates. Not only can we not see Shambhala physically, but even information about it seems to be carefully guarded. Though Shambhala is mentioned only a few times in Indian scriptures, the reason for its elusive nature has been linked to the Vedic concept of Yugas by some modern scholars. According to Vedic cosmology, time is not linear but follows grand cycles known as Yugas, which last for thousands of years. The first Yuga is said to be Satya Yuga or Golden Age, when humanity is at its spiritual peak and people live in perfect peace and harmony, and all of earth is a utopia. Here, Shambhala is visible to everyone, and indeed, all of earth is like Shambhala. The second Yuga is Treta Yuga, where humanity begins its downward spiral into a materialistic lifestyle. Next is Dwapara Yuga, where terrible wars take place and conditions worsen. Kali Yuga is said to be the fourth Yuga, the darkest era where society will judge a man by how much wealth he has. Materialism runs rampant, pollution ruins the rivers, and a collective amnesia about our divine origins and purpose sets in. Between the four yugas are the transitory periods from that yuga to the next. We are now believed to be in the transitory period from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga. According to the Vishnu Purana, the 10th incarnation of the Hindu god Vishnu will be born as Kalki in Shambhala and destroy the evil serpent Kali, not to be confused with the goddess Kali. So in which yuga does Shambhala actually disappear from human eyes? It is said that Shambhala disappears as soon as the golden age ends, but it remains in a state of Satya Yuga even as the rest of the earth descends into Treta and the subsequent yugas. Our third eye is fully open during Satya Yuga, allowing us to look into the astral world. As we move out of Satya Yuga, gradually its ability to do so diminishes, and by the time we reach Kali Yuga, we can no longer perceive events that occur in the astral world. Some people think Shambhala and Agartha are the same, but they're not, though it's possible that they're linked to one another by underground tunnels. The term Agartha doesn't exist in any of the ancient Hindu texts. The correct term would be Patala, which a previous video discussed in detail. Shambhala is said to exist in the Gobi Desert in the astral realm, and another city of light also seems to lie in a hidden valley in Tibet. Both Shambhala and Patala exist in a parallel dimension, and some modern researchers have suggested that Shambhala belongs to a higher level within the astral realm and Patala to a lower level within the same astral realm. Another belief about Shambhala is that as soon as Kali Yuga started, Shambhala went under the ground and will re-emerge at a later time. Theosophists, though, believe that Shambhala exists simultaneously above and below the ground. Either way, Shambhala is separate and distinct from Agartha. Shambhala works for the benefit of all of humanity and not any one country or race or people. Central to Shambhala is the concept of oneness or unity with all that has been created. At the most fundamental level, all of creation is consciousness, which manifests itself as everything that exists. From the smallest microorganism to the largest of galaxies that are thousands and thousands of light years across. So if humans can accept and experience the fundamental unity of all beings and dispel the idea that we are separate from others, we will be ready for Shambhala. Please subscribe, share and like if you found this video informative. Thanks for watching.